This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, the last topic in Jenkins and the deployment part. And for deployment, we need one web server so that we can use the Tomcat. First, let's go ahead and install the Tomcat and understand how to create users and how the Tomcat works and how many ways we can do a deployment. Then we can integrate with the Jenkins. So we can see that complete end-to-end flow. Okay, first of all, what is a Tomcat? The Tomcat is a web server. Okay, what is a web server? What is the main purpose of it? So right now you're writing a program, right? And you're developing, we know that we have been working, we have a source control system. All of the dev team, they'll be working on the code. And by using the Maven, we are generating a WAR file. So we know that actually the J2E application, it uses.
Hello, Sam. Are you sharing a screen? We're not able to see, I guess.
Oh, 1 second.
Yeah, we can.
I'm sorry, I missed it. Yeah, are you able to view now?
Yeah, we're good now. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. And here, what are the artifacts? It's a jar file or WAR files. And if you are developing like a web application, okay, web application means, so if you go to the gmail.com, it's a web application. Any website, if you're accessing through the browser, so underlying, we need to have one server. So basically here, we can use the Tomcat or JBoss or Glassfish. So all these are web servers. So here you are accessing from the browser. So whenever you hit a URL like HTTP or HTTPS is secure, so it will send a HTTP request to your web server. Your web server knows that the request and it will take it. Internally, it will render the request. And if you're doing like in the gmail.com, when you enter like a user ID and password, it will pass the arguments user ID and password. It will validate your user ID. And if you're authorized user, then it will display the different page. So the web traffic is like when you're sending a request through web, the HTTP communication. So that to handle that, the request and response, we need one server. That's the Tomcat. And here, first we can see like how to install a Tomcat. And then here, and if you want to host more than one application. So we don't want, for example, here, Tomcat is not meant for one application. The Tomcat, okay, what is meant for? Okay, here I can have a Tomcat server. If in your company, if you have like 3 applications, so we don't need 3 Tomcat servers. And again, it's a purely your requirement. And if your company wants to go and manage for each application separate the Tomcat, yes, we can do that. But technically, we don't want. And here in one Tomcat server, I can host more than 3 applications. Not more than, we can, there is no limit. So we can host as many as based on your server capacity. If you have a larger server, yes, we can go ahead and assign for this one like a 2 GB, 2 GB and 2 GB. You can allocate. And here how we can access. For example, if this application name is A and this application name is B and this application name is C and your server name is, and your server name is, for example, google.com or like a regular, for example, web apps. So if you want to access your application, so in a browser, what we need to provide? We will provide HTTP and your host name, web apps, and the port number. If it is like a non-standard port, okay, what is mean by non-standard? And if you're using a HTTP, the standard port is 80. And if you're using HTTPS, is a standard port is 443. And if you for those, you don't need to mention any port. The browser knows that it will automatically internally uses that port. If you're using a non-standard port and you need to provide, like for example, if you're using 8988 port, it will take you to the it will take you to the server, Tomcat server only. But if you want to access your application, you need to provide slash and A. You have to provide, you can access to the application A. If you want to access to the B, you need to provide slash B. If you want to access to C, you need to provide C. That's how the Tomcat will redirect a traffic to a certain application. Any doubts, team, here? Okay, it's just understanding what is a Tomcat. Tomcat is a web application to manage more than one application. And if you want to access it, you need to provide the host name, port number, and the application name. Any doubts, team, before we go and install Tomcat? Okay, if you don't have any questions, let me go ahead and install Apache Tomcat. And here, go to download. And here, you can see it's about if you want the zip file or like a tarball, or if you want to install it as a service. We know that service means it's a MSI installer. It will go ahead and install, and it will create a services. So whenever you don't want, you can go ahead and uninstall. Okay, let me execute the exe. Next, I agree. Next, and here the team, remember, and I have been telling from the Jenkins onwards, right now we are installing on our local host, and that too we know that we already have a Jenkins running with the port number 8080. So I cannot allocate the same port number right now. Okay, it seems like it's down. Okay, now, so if I use the port number 8080, the Tomcat will be up. But the moment when I try to start the Jenkins, it will fail. Because at any given point, any application can use that port. The other application, when you try to start, you'll get an error saying that the port is already in use. So we cannot assign a same port to more than one application. So that's why here I'm changing the standard to 8088. You can give any name. Here, what is the Windows name? The services name, it will be Tomcat 8. So we need to have one administrator user. And for that, admin 123. Go next. With the service with the name already installed. Okay, 1 second, team. Maybe I forgot to uninstall Apache Tomcat. Apache Tomcat 8. Okay, it's already down. First, let me go ahead and uninstall. Control panel, uninstall program, install, continue. Okay, it's completed, and make sure that if you don't have any folders, we know that in Windows, right, sometimes it will keep it for the reference. And if you have anything, you can see here, Apache software. Let me go ahead and delete. Shift delete. Okay, it's deleted. Let me go ahead and install now. Next, you can see, and again, it's a server, so we need a Java for it. So it's by default, it's picking up my Java JRE. We need just a runtime component. So we don't want JDK. And next, install. You can see that the run Apache Tomcat. I don't want to read the logs. Finish. So by default, it's starting in a services. So whenever you install, so it will start it as Apache. You can see here Tomcat. Go ahead and refresh. You can see right now it started. And again, if you don't want to start automatically and consume your memory, so always go to the properties and make sure that it's a manual. So every time whenever we want to start or stop, we can come to the services and we can stop or start. Apply. Okay. Now the Tomcat is up. So how do I access? And here, DevOps HTTP. My laptop name is DevOps. And what's the port we have given? 8088. You can see the Tomcat is up and running. Okay, here, if I want to, let's go ahead and see here the server status. Okay, it's saying that access denied because by default, and not everyone will get a status. And here, if you want to manage apps, even for this one, okay, my credentials might have saved. Okay, let me copy this so we know that how to run in a secure mode. Okay, I'm trying to log in, and here I'm giving the server status. Oh, admin didn't create. Manager app. Okay, you're not authorized to view contact users. Okay, we can go ahead and create the user team. And here, okay, before we go ahead and create the users, okay, by default, the Tomcat has like a four types of groups. And if you want to add in a GUI mode, yes, you can go and add a group name, manager GUI. So basically you'll get the complete permissions. And the second one is script mode. So if you don't want to grant permissions in the UI, and if you want to give only the command line interface, yes, you can use the script mode. So basically JMX is for proxy connections, and if you want to use, we can use that. And the last one is to get the status only. But it seems like okay, none of the users are configured. So with our installation, we can go ahead and manually create the users, and we can restart the Tomcat. So every time when you're making a changes to the server team, it's a good practice. Go ahead and first stop the application. Now go to the program files, Apache software. So first we can cover with the users, and then we can go in depth and we can see. And here go to the conf, and here we will have like a users, Tomcat users. Let me open up this file. Here you can see the roles, the Tomcat, and we'll have users. Manager GUI, we already have. Why it's not letting me? Okay, here we can restart that. We have a user, and I want to create one more user for the Jenkins deploy. Jenkins, and for this password, Jenkins 123. And the role, because the GUI role is kind of like the root permissions, a root admin. I don't want to grant a Jenkins user to have the complete Tomcat administration. So what groups we have here? So I can give a manager script. At any time, give a team when you are doing an administration. If your two applications are integrating, don't share the master password, the master account like admin, the credentials. Create a separate account and make a connectivity testing for the connectivity testing and everything. And here the role is going to be manager script. Let me save it, close. Then let me go ahead and start the application. Let me go ahead and refresh. Server status. Why it's not even asking for the password? Somewhere it stored the credentials. Okay, let me Control C. Let me open up another browser. IE Microsoft Edge. And here, manager app. You can see it should ask the user ID and password. So when I give the user ID and password, admin, okay, 1, 2, 3. Now it will give you all the applications. Currently, so whenever we install the Tomcat team, it will have like a 2 web components. One is the docs for the documentation purpose, and the second one is manager. So manager means okay to make sure that the deploying and undeploying the packages. You can see here the manager is the one we currently logged in. If you want to access to the docs, you can simply your application name. Either you can give like a local host or DevOps. It will give you the documentation. The same thing if you want to go to the manager, so it will your application Tomcat manager. And the same thing, okay, let me log nothing. Come on. Okay, if I come back to the home page, manager apps, okay, let me reset the password again because I want to make sure the Jenkins user don't have the complete permissions. Come on, let me go to the Chrome that I okay, somehow it's like it's cached the previous. We go here, the downloads history, settings, passwords. I think it's not for where I can delete the caching and everything. Go to downloads printing system. Okay, well, let me go with the reset and setting. Clean up on the computer. It should work in a secure mode. I'm not sure. Here, it should not cache the password. Even it seems like it's caching a password here. Bookmarks, download, find tools, settings. Yeah, clear browsing data. Okay. Go ahead and clean everything. Come on. Okay, manage the password. Come on. Okay, somehow actually it's cached the history and we can use the Chrome browser, sorry, Microsoft, and here you can see delete. And here the same thing. Okay, by default manager is accessible to the browser permission if you wish to modify the restrictions. Context.xml. Okay, we already have the config we modified. That's why I hate to save the password. You can see here that the browser is running on the same machine. We can do one thing. Yeah, let me go ahead and start it. And let me start it with the different port. So the URL will be the different. And here, okay, where we modify, for example, we started the server with the port 8088, right? If you want to change the port, go to the conf, and here we'll have a server.xml. Let me open up that file. Maybe for the previous class also use the same port. You can see here the connectors. The connectors are basically what is the port number you want to make a connection. And here the port number, I want to give it like a 8089. 8089. Go ahead and save. And Apache is started. Now if you try to access, the application is running on a different port. It cannot be accessed. Let me give it to 8089. Now you can see the Tomcat is up. Even now. Yeah, we already added the passwords and everything. So what is in context.xml? So first time I'm seeing this issue. We don't have anything here. Everything is commented out. Okay, here let me go to edge. Stop it. Target users.xml. Okay, here we have a username admin, password admin123. Maybe password restrictions. Stop and restart it. It's not even asking password. Okay, by default, manager is only if you already configured the app allowed to the access. You already configured this. The file must contain the credentials to your web apps. Okay. Let me open. Oh, here we don't have any rules enabled. Okay, let me go ahead and add a rules. Role name and then manager script. Either you can add it here or you can go to the roles section. And you can see here that currently all the roles are commented out. So you can add these two roles. Save. Let me go ahead and restart. UD and the roles here. Come on. Okay, the users. Okay, users. We add Jenkins. The manager script. Okay, is this XML is valid? Okay, let me open up in a XML editor. So whenever you make a changes, so I'm opening up in a notepad and let me try to open XML. If there is any syntax error. No, by default it's opening. Right click, open with XML editor. Here is XML editor. Come on. Right click, open with cross. Even if you open up in an Internet Explorer, the syntax is not correct and it won't display. It will show an error. Okay, it's not displaying anything. That's why team, always you need to have a proper tools. Okay, here the another program is software Tomcat is using reload. Yes. It got rebooted. Do one thing, team. Uninstall. I think something it's uninstall. That let me stop it. It is an installer. Okay, go ahead and uninstall. Continue. Should delete. Okay, we open a file here. Let me close all these things. Go to downloads. Admin want to next. Let me open up the browser. Okay, start it again. Let me go to manager. Somewhere it's blocking team. It's the first time. Yeah. Let me open up here. Okay, it's like a system is blocking, and let's use the local host because when we are running on a local host. Local host. Yeah. Okay, somehow my DNS name is not recognizing team. So basically what's happening here? Any guesses what happened here?
No.
Okay. Here, when I try to in a browser, right? So the browser basically, it will connect to the internet. So in internet, it's looking for a DevOps. That's my laptop name. So here, instead of checking in my local, it's going to the devops.com and it's looking for the 8080 when it's trying to connect. So if I change it to the local host means, hey, use my in the current running server. When I try to enter manager app, it's asking for the user ID and password. Okay, here, okay, admin 123, sign in. I don't want to save it here. You can see here it's the same thing. Now let's go ahead and create a one more user. Refresh. Stop it. See program files, Apache, Tomcat, and go inside the config and the users. Right click and open. And here I'm going to create a one more user. Username equal to Jenkins and the password equal to Jenkins 123 and the roles. Okay, he belongs to manager script. Okay, go ahead and save and start the application. And if you want to access, go to the browser, go back and refresh and try to log in with the Jenkins user. Come on. Even I just said, okay, not to save the credentials, it's cached. Let me go to the private mode and here, let me try to enter. Okay, here I'm giving Jenkins 123. You can see this is what I need to get because the Jenkins user, I'm not authorized to get the applications. He can able to connect through the scripts only. Are you following, team? Okay, now let's go ahead and discuss. And here I'm coming back and manager app. Come on, again, it's cached here. Let me log in with the admin account, and here you can see by default I have a docs and manager. So if I want to do a deployment, so it's like the manual UI deployment team. So where we have our this guy, the web application, the war files. So let's go to our Jenkins. Let me make sure that it's up or down. Jenkins. Okay, I'm starting. While it's starting, we know that where is our the war files it's generated. So let's go to C, program files, Jenkins, workspace. We have time tracker Maven and web target. I have a war file. So basically deployment means, okay, configuring the moving the war files to the desired location. Okay, this is the location I want to navigate if I want to do a manual deployment. So basically what is the concept for that? So we can you can choose a war file. My Windows and OpenJ, it's too hot. Got on the Windows OpenJ. And here you can go to variable. You have, okay, this is the war file. You just need to provide the war file and click on deploy. You can see the team. Now you have a one application. So this application is time tracker. If you want to access, you can see you just need to provide your host name and the port number / your application name. And the same thing, if you want to do any kind of like undeployment, yes, we can come here and we can do undeploy. Now that application is no longer available in this application. It's the same thing, team. You can deploy any web application. Like for example, if you want to deploy a Jenkins, you want to install the Jenkins on top of the Tomcat. You can simply choose a file. Where is our Ansible? Sorry, the Jenkins is installed. Go to the C. Jenkins is also one web application. Program files, Jenkins. We'll have a jenkins.war. Here. Okay, select the war file and go ahead and deploy. Now the Jenkins will be hosted on your hosted on the Tomcat server. Continue. It's not deployed. If you want, okay, yeah, that is like a, it will not have a complete. And if you want to deploy, okay, go to the Jenkins. Download. Hey, I'm in a call. Keep silent. And sure, generate the war file. Go ahead and download. Okay, it's downloaded. Now let's go to our choose a file. Go to downloads, Jenkins, open. deploy. The site cannot be reached. Why? Manager app. Apply the directory. You can directly select the jar. Okay. And this is one way we do a deployment team. Somehow it's not picking up. And the second way through the command line. Okay, what is the command line? Okay, let me go back to. So wherever the Tomcat. Okay, I'm copying this jar file. See program files. So all the applications will be stored in a web apps folder. So you can see here I'm going to the program files. So first let's discuss, and here in the bin, so bin will have all the startup commands, and it's the same thing like a Maven because it's open source. Config will have all the configuration files, so that's where we came here and added a user, and even to update the port number we will update in a server.xml. And the lib, it will be purely for to start the Tomcat. It's a libraries. We will not do anything. The logs will have all the applicate Tomcat logs. So which one is the main one? The catalina.log. In case if there is any issues, yes, you need to open up the catalina.out. Then you can see, okay, what is the issue? Let me open up this one, the log. Export editor. So basically here you can see when it's trying to, so it's deployed the docs only. And now we go back to the folders. And this is purely for the temporary purpose. And like the Jenkins, right, it has a workspace. In the Maven we have a target. The similar, it will use the temp directory. So which one? The web apps. The web apps is the main one. So we will come here and we will do the command line interface deployment. So we'll connect to the server, we will log in, and whatever the file you want to deploy, the var file, you can simply come here in web apps and drop it. So the moment you drop a war file, the Tomcat knows that the web application, okay, it's another application. You can see here, I didn't extract. I just dropped a war file. It will automatically goes and extract it, and it will try to install the application. Now, if you go back to your UI and refresh, we'll see a Jenkins. If you want to access the Jenkins, click on /Jenkins. See, please wait for the Jenkins. This is not our Jenkins. We install the Jenkins on top of the Tomcat. So you can see it's a Tomcat application, and the next one is Jenkins. Missing overall administration permissions. Yeah. You can see it's the first thing. So whenever, right, we set up the initial administration password, and where it's created Windows, the service profiler local. And if you want, you can navigate there. It's the same thing. Right now you're installing. See Windows service profiles. Local services. And then .jenkins. You check with the hidden items as well. Dot means it's a hidden file. You can see .jenkins, and then secrets, and here we have initial admin password. Open up, Control C, enter the password. Now it will be the same. Are you following, team? Amarjit?
Yes.
Okay. Now, okay, this is like another way of deployment. I don't want to do like either through UI or like a command line. So I want to integrate with my Jenkins. So if I want to integrate, okay, what we need. And here, let's go back to our Jenkins. Sorry, our Jenkins is running on 8080. And here, this is a project. As soon as the build is completed, so I want to trigger and do a deployment as well. So for that, we need a plugin. So let me go ahead and install a plugin for that. And here what is available. Control F, deploy. Come on. What happened? Artificial deploy. Here, deploy to container. Install without a restart. Okay, it's installed. Now let me go back to the job. So usually when we do the deployment, after the build is completed. Okay. Yeah, you can pick the freestyle or you can pick the Maven and go to configure. Okay, what is this one? This is a post build action. Go to the post steps and here deploy artifacts. You can see here deploy var or ER to the container. So that's a plugin we install. Okay, here, okay, what we need to do. So we need to do a var deploy. So usually we want to give, we will give like a var deploy. But the thing here, the team catch, and the var is not in a parent folder. When you give like a star.var, it will always look in a parent directory, the parent directory of the workspace. But for us, the var file is located inside the target directory. So if you want to do a recursive test, the lookup, so basically you need to give like a star. So basically what it will do, it will go each and every folder and it will look for a war files. And if it finds a war file, it will automatically connect and do a deployment. And here, okay, what is your web application name? For example, here if I want to give as a demo, my application name, or you want to give as a web apps, you can just provide the application name. And here in the container, with the same plugin, either you're using a Tomcat or JBoss or Glassfish, it's the same thing. So which one? Currently we installed Tomcat 8 version, and here it's going to ask the credentials. Let me go ahead and give you credentials to connect to my Tomcat. This is Jenkins 123. Go ahead and add. Now you can choose the Jenkins, and what is your Tomcat URL? So your Tomcat URL is http DevOps 8088. Any questions, team, on the setup? So basically what I'm doing, okay, hey, after the build is completed, okay, can you go ahead and deploy the WAR files to the remote server? Okay, what is my server name? So my server name is DevOps, and I'm giving the port number. So it will automatically connect to the Tomcat server, and it will do a deployment as well. And before I do here, so let me come back to here in my manager. So how many applications currently it has? The docs, the Jenkins, and the manager. Now after the deployment, we're going to select one more application called web apps. Go ahead and save and build with parameter. I want to do a package. No, this is October 30. Okay, the number 5th. Go to the console output.
Okay, so Sam, what is the advantage of having on like top of the like Tomcat instead of having like before Jenkins was on our system? So is it something similar concept like we did Linux like CentOS on the virtual machine?
I didn't get your question. The Tomcat is a web application server.
Yeah, so I mean it's a web application server where you can handle more than one application, web application, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so what is the main like advantage? So instead of having like because when we learned Jenkins it was on our system.
Mhm. Okay, it is Jenkins in our system. When you install, okay, again, in real time, we will install in a dedicated server, but again, it's kind of like a one web application. So what I was trying to say, okay, even you can install the Tomcat, you can install any web application. The Jenkins is one of the web application, so that's why we try to host in a Tomcat. We need one web application, right? That's why first we install the Jenkins.
Okay.
Yeah, here again, it seems like the host name is not able to connect. Let me change it to the local host. Host steps. and save and the parameter to widespread. Sorry, that's the previous one. Let me go and see the console output. Then basically in Tomcat, you can deploy any var. Var means it's a web application. You can deploy anything. Okay, now we can see here it's waiting for Jenkins. Now it's going to start the post build actions. It will connect to the Tomcat. Okay, it's deploying the var file. It found one time tracker project, the var, and it will deploy to the server. Okay, it's success. Now come back to here and refresh. You can see here we have web apps. If you try to go and access, and you can see here the Jenkins deployment with the time tracker project. Okay, you may have a doubt. Okay, let's go there, do some changes, and make sure that it will automatically updates. Let me go back to GitHub. Where's my other? Okay, here in the time tracker. So please make sure that which branch you're pointing. Okay, we are pointing to the master branch. And here I can set up a pull SCM. I don't want to trigger this job. So whenever there is a change, 1, 2, 3, 4. Whenever there is a change, it will automatically compiles it, builds it, and it will do a deployment. Now let me come back to here. Branch name, currently I'm in a branch, master branch. Let me go ahead and update the changes directly on the server. Web apps, index.jsp. A title, you can go ahead and edit mode. I'm changing the title to deployment, and the title I'm just changing automated deployments with Jenkins. And a topic and 11.05. We just want to see some commits and the updates on the server, so we can make sure that it's updating correctly. And here the commit message. Commit changes. You can see the team. Now I made changes to the source control as a developer. So immediately the Jenkins, and in every 2 minutes we have configured in a pull SCM. It will connect, and if there is any change, and it will automatically takes the code, compiles it, connect to the Tomcat, and it will do a deployment. You can see now I didn't trigger this one. It's automatically started. So we know that who triggered the job. You can see it's started by an SCM. Okay, there is a change in the source control. So that's why it's trying to start. And it can see that the commit message is updated index.html and with the revision number and everything. And if you want to see the more details, okay, modified for the class. That's a commit message I have given. You can see here the team always when we are doing a new changes, it will undeploy the previous one. Undeploy means it will take out that war file and it will redeploy. You can see the deployment has been success. Let's go ahead and refresh and click on the web apps. You can see this is the subject we are given, changed, automated deployment with Jenkins and with the today's date. Any questions, team? If you have a two servers, right now it's doing a deployment in one server. If you have a two servers, it's the same thing. Go to the post build action. Sorry. And here in advanced, add one more container and the same Tomcat 8 to the same thing. Credentials, the Jenkins, and give the Tomcat URL. For example, HTTP, we have a localhost server 2 and give the port number. You can add as many as if you have like a 3 servers, the process is same. Provide the credentials and provide the server details. So it will connect and deploys in all 3 servers. Read out team. Okay, if you don't have any questions, we can wind up the call for today. And tomorrow we can start the AWS.
Okay.
Anyone have any questions? Amarjit?
No, this one is little tricky though. Okay, so we have to open in a different browser?
No, not in a different browser. So when you try to log in, so your browser by default, it will caches the user ID and password. And another thing is mainly in a web application, if it is like a same request and it won't even ask the user ID and password. So that's why to test it, I opened up in a new secure browser. So basically it will not have any cached data. Technically we don't want, and in general, so we always deal with the one user, right? We don't need to worry about the users. Right now we created two users and we are trying to hit the same URL, so that's why the call is not completely going. The browser treats that they basically will have a concept like called like a state the caching, what's that, keep the status the cached and non-cached. So by default if you're sending the same request again and again, so for example, if I go and hit again and again, the browser, it knows that, okay, it's the same request and it will give the previous result.
Okay.
So that's why we are opening up in the new private browser. But in real time, we always have a one account only. You'll be trying to log in with that user ID.
Okay.
Is that your question cleared, Amarjit? It's I still see in your okay doubt.
Yeah, once I'll double check the the class video then hopefully.
Yeah, sure.
If not, then I'll ask you.
Yeah. Okay, Megla. Any doubts?
No, I have to practice one, then only I can.
Okay, sure. Okay, thanks everyone. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.